Hi, BookTube. So, today's video will be my review of The Five Fingers by Gayle Rivers and James Hudson. I'm in the same blue room where I made all my Garb August videos, just for consistency. And I realized that I'm sitting facing a window, so sometimes the lighting might obscure the cover a little bit when I show it to you. So hopefully if I move it around at the right angle here, the reflection will not completely obscure the image. I'll zoom it in for you, see? That's I hope the lighting didn't obscure it, otherwise I'll do a reshoot. Anyway, so there you go. That's the cover. It's an awesome cover. And wow, did I have a lot of feelings about this book. There's so much I want to say that I'm going to say some things at the outset here so I don't forget them later. This was my contribution to Garb August, which was a reading event started by Criminali. I want to thank Ollie for prompting me to pick this book up from my library and reading it, because it was an interesting experience. More on that in a bit. I wouldn't recommend this book, and I'm not going to rate this book. But I don't regret reading it, because it gave me a lot to think about what makes a good book. So, because there are things in this book that I like, and then there are some things that I really hate. So that's why I won't recommend this book. But it was still an interesting exercise. I don't regret reading it. I don't know what to think. Like I said, I have mixed emotions on this. First of all, what's the book about? So, seven special forces soldiers from 5 countries. That's why they call the team the Five Fingers, because 5 nationalities were represented, even though it was a team of 7 men. It's not clear the nationalities of all 7 of them, but I think I can figure out like 4 of them. The others I can't entirely figure out. So there you go. And I say there you go because I'm buying time here. These 7 special forces soldiers, the story is set in 1969 during the Vietnam War. These 7 special forces soldiers are to march through Laos and North Vietnam into China. So they're going to march through enemy territory, and at the time Laos itself was also in a state of civil war. They're to march into China and assassinate a high-ranking North Vietnamese official called General Giap, and some other Chinese officials there. They say, so they get a briefing, these 7 men get a briefing saying these 7 men are getting together to plot a Cuban Missile Crisis 2.0. I don't know. But they say it's vital that we get the upper hand in the Cold War if we assassinate these 11 high-ranking officials in southern China, just beyond the border of North Vietnam. There's even a map here. Let me just flip it open, and it's not reflective, so you can probably see it clearly. So this is their route. They start in Thailand, they go through Laos and North Vietnam also, and briefly in China. And they march all the way back, and then they go through all of this in Laos, go down to South Vietnam. So, but So they're briefed and they go on their mission, but suddenly from the radio, when they just made it to their location, they're told to abort mission, and they're left high and dry on their own with no help on the way, nobody to save them. So they have to march back through North Vietnam and Laos to safety by themselves. And on the way, for some unknown reason, even the non-communist forces in the area are out to kill them. Is this a cover-up from the Allied forces that they didn't want this mission exposed? Probably, but the book actually never reveals it in the end. That's actually one of the disappointments. So, that's the general gist of the story. Let's talk about some parts that I liked. Now, at first when I saw this book, I thought, oh, this is about some story taking place in the war in the Vietnam War, and it's about some. Yeah, it's just one side story in the overall Vietnam War, where the United States lost. But it wasn't that at all. So it was multiple countries. The book is a first person perspective, first person narrative rather, of a man from New Zealand of all places. So one of the five fingers is New Zealand. Let's see, it was New Zealand, it was Australia, it was the UK, it was the United States, and there was one guy from South Korea as well. Anyway, I don't want to say it was a diverse crowd, but it's not an America-centric crowd, which I really appreciated. I didn't want to hear about some hard-ass American soldiers kicking commie ass, which this book actually does describe, but it's not just Americans. So I kind of like that. I like that. And if this book were made into a film, it's a man's adventure, and it's a man's man thing. I have a lot of I'm reminded about all sorts of movies, like all kinds of war movies. I'm thinking manly man books, like movies with actors like Arnold Schwarzenegger, Sylvester Stallone, that kind of thing, muscle bound, hard ass guys, with lots of guns, which I'm sure the Americans would appreciate. I'm sorry. That's just a playful jab at you guys, but I don't mean that. I don't mean that in all seriousness. It is a men's adventure, and it is about some trigger happy soldiers. And at first, and here's another thing I liked about it. During the mission, at first, the story was very dry and robotic. This first person doesn't have a personality. He's only very goal oriented. Like, I point the gun and I kill the man. Or if he gets an injury, like a flesh wound, a bullet wound to the shoulder or something, he says, warning, warning, battery low, damage, that kind of thing. So it was very dry and dull at first, and I thought, how are you supposed to relate to this guy? There's no moments of self-doubt about, can I succeed in this mission, or I'm in a lot of pain, or I'm worried I'll never see my loved ones again. But towards the end of the book, they started describing that. So the book started to redeem itself towards the end, when they started having doubts that they will survive and fear that they'll never see their homes and families ever again. So the book redeemed itself in that. Now, the book is also very descriptive. So it goes through the jungles, and it talks about walking through brush and thorny plants and mosquito and disease-infested swamps, hostile locals. Everyone is pointing a gun at them, and they're marching through. They're slowly losing food supplies and ammunition, as well as what was it? They're dropping in their morale, and oh yeah, they're getting lots of injuries, and some of the descriptions of them getting malaria and dysentery. Wow, they really marched through what you would call a green hell. Green hell. Like if you were dropped in the middle of the Amazon rainforest with lots of poisonous plants and animals everywhere, and predators, and all of that, and hostile natives. So the book was extremely violent. But I didn't like the violence in itself, but I appreciated that I could read something that could trigger strong emotions in me, like disgust or oof, like a disturbing book. Hey, Juanette plagued by visions. Shout out. Like a disturbing book. I was moved by but I wasn't as triggered by the extreme violence of entrails being spilled and everything like that, and bones being broken and bleeding out and all of that stuff. I wasn't really put off by that so much as, and this leads to a problem, so much as the protagonist is a heartless bastard. For one, I didn't believe in the mission that they were going through. It's a war that had I been alive then, that I would have not been a supporter of. So they're fighting a cause I don't believe in, and this guy has no remorse killing enemies. He's just a killing machine. But then again, the fact that he's emotionless as he does his job, I guess that's what soldiers are trained for, right? So mission accomplished. By the way, Gayle Rivers is the name of the first person narrator. So the book seems to imply that the two authors have spent some time in the military, and specifically in the Vietnam War. Whether this mission is based on a true story or not, I would say the jury is still out. But anyway, it's a war I don't believe in. This guy is just some heartless killing machine, except at the end he started feeling moments of self-doubt and some moments of desperation for some peace of mind and so on, and some longing for normalcy, so to speak. And so at the end, the book, he redeems himself with expressing genuine emotion, so that I can, in a way, relate to him. So, so like I said, now to the parts I don't like. Like I said, the main character I cannot relate to. He's just some trigger-happy soldier, along with the other men in the team. They make excuse. They regret, and they don't want to. They regret if children are killed, but after children are the collateral damage to their mission, when they leave a village, when they leave these villages, they make excuses why they had to do it. And one thing about this, how do you put this? One thing about this book is it started getting repetitive. They're on the march, they're getting exhausted, they're being shot at everywhere, they're killing and killing and killing. They take over, they hijack a village and say, we're taking the stuff, now we're taking the stuff, we're taking some rest, give us food and shelter for a few hours, and then they march on. Maybe they have to kill a few villagers in the process to say, we mean business. And it just went on and on and on and on like that on their way to to the site where they were going to assassinate these 11 top-ranking officials that were getting together for a conference. The whole story went that way on the way there as well as on the way back. And on the way back, it just gets worse and worse and worse. More injuries, more spilling of blood, more murder, and more infections. The talk of dysentery, where like this really horrible diarrhea grossed me out. And did the book fill week 4's prompts for Garb August, which is WTF? The scene where the main character pushes back in a dislocated eyeball? That was like, is that real? Is that actually a thing? As long as the connectivity with the blood vessels and so on is not completely destroyed, you could lodge someone's eyeball back into their socket? Is that a thing? Is that a thing? That one was the most disturbing, if for lack of a better word, that was the most disturbing scene to me anyway. And here's another part that I didn't like about the book. So it was just repetitive violence. We're losing energy. Oh, we've regained some vitality after rest in a village, etc., etc. It was just marching. And then why is everyone shooting at us? Is there some conspiracy somewhere higher up that they not only left us high and dry, but they're trying to kill us? The part that I didn't like was they kept asking that question: who pulled the plug on our mission and why are they trying to kill us? Not only the communists, but the non-communists. The local non-communists. Americans would not shoot other white men. At least not during the Vietnam War. I don't know about in other times. So but at the end, it's never actually revealed. Why all the non-communist forces were pointing guns at them and trying to kill them, and them struggling to survive. Okay. Anyway, so the book didn't give me any satisfactory answers. It got it repetitive. The narrator is a heartless bastard who kills birds for fun. So that I didn't like. But the story, but the desire for answers of what's going on, why were they left out high and dry, motivated me to read it to the end. Now I have to be a little bit repetitive and say thank you, Ollie, for prompting me to read this book. Now I have a little bit more of a appreciation over what makes a good book. So now that my Garb August experience is over, I'm gonna send off this video with a little song. Well, at least only a fragment of a song. Let's see if you like my singing, huh? Excuse me, I'm gonna clear my throat here. And she will meet as she descends a rather different set of friends, a rather different set of friends, a rather different set of friends. A fish head, for example, cut This morning from a haribut, an oyster from an oyster stew, a steak that no one else would chew, and lots of other things as well, each with its rather horrid smell. Horrid smell. From Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. That is a song, of course, about falling down into the garbage chute. Do you see the connection? You should. You should. I'm not going to give away that joke. All right. I think I did reasonably well in singing there. All right. That's my review. Have a nice day.